Welcome to the Codeplay Culture podcast, where we discuss tech, gaming, health, and the world around us.
Everybody, welcome to Codeplay Culture podcast. Rui and Logan back in full effect. Today we're taking a look at exploring the evolution of Resident Evil. It has become this, that, and the other thing, and back again. Cool topic, Rui. Just diving right into it. Resident Evil, what's your favorite one?
Oh man, this is a loaded question. I'm going to have to say number one. Always number one for every franchise for me is my favorite. And by far, Resident Evil number one is my favorite. I'm going to take a wild guess at yours. Number two.
Close.
Close.
Yeah. You know, the square root of 4 is 2, and 2 times 2 and 2 plus 2 is 4. My favorite one was 4, only because I was like, you know how people have first world problems? If there's an example of zero world problem, and I could say, oh, I wasn't one of those lucky people to have a PlayStation 1 when it came out as a kid, I probably would have fell in love with, 1, 2, and all of that. But 4 was my first take at it. And on the GameCube, because it was built for that and then ported to PS2, meaning that if you wanted that perfect graphic experience at the time, you didn't want the PS2 one, you wanted the GameCube one. Right.
I wasn't aware it was a port.
Yes, it was important to know because, you always want to find the source, not the deduped.
Yeah, for sure.
What did you like about 1?
Oh man, 1 was amazing. The puzzles, man, the puzzles. I think we're going to harken back to that, but we talked about this in our first podcast, or maybe our second one. But we did touch this topic about the puzzles, man. The puzzles are what make the game, and just blasting zombies is fun, of course, when you're, obviously, and they're all running around, and some guy with a massive axe is trying to like chop you in pieces, and yeah, that's always fun. But the puzzles, man, it was missing that aspect.
Every time you say puzzle, I think in my head of pushing these stone statues.
Yeah.
Like that was in Resident Evil 1, right?
Yeah. Stone statues on invisible floor plates that, you don't know that they're pressure plates, and you just happen to move that statue over it, and then they have to align, and then there's light beams across eyeballs, and it's just pretty unique. A unique puzzle horror survival game. So they've taken a different turn now, right? A horror survival is something different now.
Yeah,
basically just survive an onslaught of bunch of random zombies and infected people, and that's your horror survival, right?
Yeah, so it has transitioned very oddly. Well, maybe oddly is beauty's in the eye of the beholder. Yeah. However, you've seen all of this stuff happen with, Final Fantasy VII remastered to be more of like a Kingdom Hearts or a hack and slash God of War level.
Yeah, man.
And some of these maturities, like how it's maturing, almost is like a D-maturity, right? Yeah. Or there's elements of maturity and dematurity. I would say the weirdest part with Resident Evil is when they went all first person. And you know what? I felt very, outcasted because I was like one of my only friends that wasn't down with that. And they're like, are you excited about it? Because I was like so into it, right? I'm like, and I lied. I'm like, yeah, I am. I'm really, I can't wait, and I'm like inside just like they went first person. Granted, that was weird, dude. Yeah. People around a table just eating each other's brains and they're just talking socially. You're like, you're not going to eat your maggots. It's just so weird, right? And then they came out with a VR edition of that. By the way, almost put me off of VR.
Right.
Like in terms of like being scared of that kind of stuff. But, then you know what kind of games you want. But so the puzzle experience, you almost say that like you did say that like it's tapered off.
It has tapered off. It's tapered off. And I think 4 was the cutoff point for the puzzle survival game. Everything after 4 became a horror action game. everything before 4 was actually a puzzle horror platform. So Resident Evil 1, 2, and then Code Veronica, of course.
Yeah.
Resident Evil 0. All 4 of those were in fact puzzle horror games. Were not action based. Everything after that became an action. So yeah, 4, 5, 6, 7, whatever else many that they have. I'm not sure where it ends.
Right.
Last I heard it was 8, right?
Yeah.
The Village?
Yeah, The Village, which is, I think, not Chris. I forget his name. Not Chris Redfield. Or it could be.
Jill?
It was a dude. And then...
Oh, okay.
And you know what? So they went... How was it? 6? 7 was... okay, 6 was basically... Whatever happened there, it tanked the whole franchise. It was kind of like they grabbed the CEOs or whatever, the creative directors of Resident Evil, whoever did that one.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, you're ruining it all. Right. And then they completely 180. They're like, we need to fix this completely. So they almost let it die with 6, because 6 was like, it was like a indie game. Like, and that's a main number. Right. And then 7, I believe, was the
6 is long-term support.
Yeah, 6 exactly. Yeah. 7 was the first person. Very weird, right? It kind of like, I don't remember any characters, likenesses, all that stuff, right? And then, sorry, not 7, 8. Sorry, 9. Right? 9 is the Village, right?
Or was it? The Village would be the 7.
I'm having a massive.
I think 7 is actually no Village. Maybe 8.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That makes sense. 6 and 8. I was getting confused. Yeah. I'm having a massive. I just got back from skateboarding all the way to the bank. And it was like 15 minutes before the pod. I'm like sweating. Super sunny out there. When I left the house, it was cold. When I came home, it was too hot to wear a coat. Like, that's the elevated heart rate level of cardio, right?
Sorry, I had to sneeze.
And so anyhow, yeah, so not 8, right?
Yeah.
8 was first person as well, with I think Chris Redfield or whoever was in it. Then they patched it to be third person.
Yeah.
And this was like way after, like a couple years or whatever. I haven't played it, but I was like, oh my God. If you think about what happened there, top-down isometric puzzles. Yeah. Okay. Next up, they went 4. And 4 was over the shoulder, like Gears of War, I believe, copied that after, because it wasn't first Gears. Because if you think about it, GameCube was before Xbox 360, right? Because it was GameCube versus Xbox, right?
Yeah.
Gears was on 360. And that whole over the shoulder look, I feel like they were the first. They probably weren't the first, but they were the first people to, like, be, recognized to do it super well. Then they did 5, which is just a stone's throw from 4. And then 6 was the tank. So we have top-down isometric puzzle, then over the shoulder, colder, boulder holder, whatever, just like the rhyme. And then the next one was tank, like, because it was, I think it was over the shoulder again. It's just, I don't know.
It probably was.
Right? Then they were like, okay, 180. They're going to do first person, and see how they came back to the over the shoulder, not only for the Village patch, they started remastering them all. So they remastered. They didn't remaster the first one yet.
They remade 2 and 3.
Yeah. So they did 2 and 3. And you know what's weird? Not weird. It's probably friggin' amazing. They were able to do that within like a year of each other.
Yeah.
It's just some team was like, you know what? I got this. And their hands are burning after. But I believe there are specific teams that do remasters, just like that's their bread and butter. And now we're at Resident Evil 4, which, granted, they put in way more money, like probably triple or quadruple, because people know that is. But that's messed up if you think about it. Because maybe, dude, because it was already 3D over the shoulder at 4, so they have to upgrade it much more. It's like the later the game comes out, the more money they have to put into upgrading. But when they do 2 and 3, because it's like PS1, they're like, whatever, we'll give you whatever, right? Code Veronica for sure has to be next in the remaster.
I hope
0 and 1. However, 1, super scared about that, because what they did for FF7 You know,
oh right,
they could completely. Remember, we were saying it's like when they do a remake, it's you know, a person you haven't seen in 20 years shows up at your house and they're like, hey, you remember me? I'm like, I think. It's like, what's your name? Like Final Fantasy 7. It's like, oh, you're Cloud, right? And he's like, yeah. It's like, what happened to you? It's like, I got addicted to heroin. It's like, you know, because they show up and they're completely different, right? You don't recognize them.
Yeah, and then you just shut the door.
Yeah, I'm like, no. This is the Cloud that I grew up with. Was a little guy like this, and he had the sword was like super big. You know, couldn't carry it, fell back. Yeah. But fuck, no, man.
No. If they remake it, I hope they don't butcher it like Final Fantasy 7. But something tells me they won't. I haven't seen the remake of 2 and 3. I don't know what they did to it.
So good.
Yeah,
dude. And you haven't, right? So you got to come over to. I have those sitting.
Oh, you have the remakes?
Yes, and I have them for both. They were on PS. They were on PS4. I'm just trying to think of the timelines. Yeah, they were on PS4, but I believe that they re-released them on 5. But I'm like, at the end of the day, like 6 months from a console to console, like, I mean, what are you really upgrading to spend the $79 again?
Right.
I mean, I guess you'd have to work more if you just keep on rebuying, right?
Of course, yeah.
So
yeah, I don't know what that one looks like. Did they revamp the whole thing? I hope the controls are better. I mean, controls
so good.
Part 1 were pretty bad.
Yeah, I would say like whatever they used for the engine on the remake of 2, they used for the same. That's why they were able to get out the remake of 3 so quick.
Yeah,
but it was so good. Let me just see if I have it here. One sec.
I'm gonna have to borrow that game from you.
That's right. Okay, so first, I'm sure I told you this before, but Digital Foundry, they're awesome. They're a bunch of really cool, nice nerds that just are obsessed, like nerds in a good way. You know what I mean? Like, you know, hyper focused on a topic, nerd.
Yeah.
And they're obsessed with graphics. So like before getting anything, I always watch Digital Foundry to see what console is the best. So first off, we have Resident Evil 2, right? I got him for Xbox One because at the time it was way more powerful. Like the graphics were way better, right?
Yeah.
So whatever the better graphics, I'll get it. So you can see on the back here, even Dolby Atmos sound. And
nice.
Which wasn't on PS4. They didn't have Dolby Atmos, as far as I'm aware. It was all like 7.2 linear PCM uncompressed level of stuff, 4K HDR, and you see how it says in the top left hand corner, enhance for Xbox One X, which is obviously ported to Series X, and this is the same thing for 3.
Nice.
And it is super good. Interesting. This one here on the 3 is HDR10. And this one here is, it's HDR10. They just wrote it wrong. But in terms of audio, they didn't. It's like, why put standard symbols on the back or in the front of cases if you can't make them standard across 2 different games that are back to back?
Buzzwords, man, buzzwords. But you know, I got into Resident Evil ever since we played 4 at your place last week. I'm going back and playing some of the older ones. So I spun up my PS4 and Code Veronica because came with the bundle I bought, Resident Evil bundle. And man, I missed that game, man. What a good story and good characters.
Who's it about? Is it about a girl? But is that Ada Wong or what's the main character?
So it's Claire Redfield.
Okay, okay.
She's his sister, younger sister, Chris Redfield's younger sister, right? So she's the one, and Leon Kennedy. Does that ring a bell?
Yeah, Resident Evil 4, Resident Evil 2, and Code Veronica, I guess. He's like him and Chris. I would say Leon's a little bit more, I guess, recognizable, at least now these days, because of 4 just popping out.
Yeah.
Plus, he's got like the haircut of, you know, I was going to say Aaron, but whoever from Backstreet Boys. Whatever that, you know.
What's that guy's name?
Yeah, I forget.
Marky Mark?
Carter. Aaron Carter and whatever. Yeah. But I tried to have that same haircut growing up. It's like the parted down the middle.
Yeah, that was a 90s look, man.
Croatian boy. But I don't know. It's like I thought that was cool.
It was like cut at the ears all the way around.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh man.
And then I had like such a big nose as a teenager. I say as a teenager, like it's changed, right? and then from the side, because I had such like big golden locks on each side, kind of looked like a poodle. And then my nose is so big, it stuck out from these like two locks of golden blonde hair. And I was like, yeah, I'm like a Backstreet Boy. And they're like, no, you're not.
So who do you think would win if they had to duke it out? Chris Redfield or Leon Kennedy?
Oh, Chris Redfield beat the shit out of Leon. Well, I don't even know. Leon seems like he's jacked.
Right?
Shoot, I gotta bleep that. trying not to. It's like I think they let a couple slip before they. Hey, we want you to change the explicit label. Yeah, like in 4. Remember at the beginning, no spoilers, but just when he kicked that zombie.
Yeah,
like it didn't like just knock him out. It broke his neck.
Like, oh yeah, that's right.
Like you can't roundhouse kick, like unless you're Chuck. What's his name? I'm bad with the names. Chuck Norris.
The Iceman?
Chuck Norris. Like unless you're Chuck Norris, like a roundhouse kick to the head won't break your neck.
Yeah.
So we're talking about like I don't know, Olympic athlete level of shreddedness on several vials of gear. Like how is he able to roundhouse kick someone and snap their neck?
He has the power.
Yeah.
But Chris Redfield, he's a veteran of stars, man. Special tactics and rescue service. And he's a skilled marksman, according to the game lore. But does that mean he could beat him in a fight? I don't know. I have a feeling you're right, man. Leon would just roundhouse his face across the crack his head open.
Yeah. And then and Chris seems to be someone that like he's like definitely gets more chicks, I'd say, Chris, because he probably drinks beer though, and Leon probably is on a 24-hour fast all the time.
Right. So it's Chad versus Brad.
Chad versus Brad. So yeah, and then you can duke out the girls too. This is a weird tangent for this convo.
Yeah.
But okay, the puzzles. To segue to puzzles. Like I've noticed that all of these games are getting to the point where nobody has attention anymore. So they're like, you know what? No one wants to do puzzles. They just want to, get an AK-47, right?
Yeah.
It's like, no, nobody
wants to think.
No, like there was like an amazing skateboarder girl that goes to CJ skate park, and she was saying to me, she's super younger than my kids. She's like, why is all the parents on phones? And then I was like, oh, you don't like that? It's not good. She's like, no one should be doing that. She's a sponsored skateboarder with CJ's, right? Yeah. So she kind of works there. Incredible. Like part of that skate team. So she's just like always there. And I was like, well, I hope like in your lifetime, you abolish these things, right? Like your generation gets rid of them. I hope it's like the smoking where like you don't see them. You can't do them on planes.
Right. EMP,
man. Pretty bad.
Yeah. They are pretty bad.
Did you say EMP?
A big giant EMP.
Yeah.
So like going back to the puzzles, man. So I can understand the appeal of that insane action when I was playing that Resident Evil and running around that city and just dodging everybody for 4 minutes. And I suppose that's part of the demo too, right? Just dodging that whole all those infected for those 4 minutes. It was pretty exciting, and it gets you like gets your adrenaline, to peak, right?
Yes.
And I mean that could be the high people are chasing. Nobody wants to sit there and dissect a book and read puzzles, right? When you can have that adrenaline high. But
yeah, they're going for like that adrenaline high mixed with a bipolar calm down and puzzle after. Because remember, right after you kind of get out of there, you got to like shoot those medallions. They're looking around. See how slow paced that is, right?
Yeah, but that wasn't a puzzle though.
Correct. That was and the extent of the puzzles in RE4 are, find this gem. Like you have to find like 3 different gems to put them in a statue, right? Yeah. They're not like the RE1 puzzles at all, right?
Yeah.
But so it does have this like roller coaster, to calm you down.
Just to build up for the next insanity to come, I guess.
Yes. You can't have any impact if you're firing on all cylinders round the clock, right? You have to have these highs and lows.
Yeah. That's genius, man.
Yeah. So I guess all we have to do is like not talk for a bit and then scream at people. Yeah. And then go silent for 5 minutes and then scream at people.
From a psychological perspective, that's pretty brilliant on the developer's part.
What do you think that would do to like people's brains?
I don't think it does anything beneficial. That I can say with absolute certainty.
Yep, that is true. So you're always in this state of calm and worry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that begs the question: are you ever actually enjoying it then?
Or you're just kind of worried about and the other thing is the graphics are so good. It's almost like Caviar where you're like, oh, I love this. Like, look at this. It's so beautiful. And then you're like, oh my God, I'm going to die. And then, oh my God, I'm now in a room with calm music. There's like a spider.
Remember that save room?
Yeah. You always know that you're safe.
You made a point about that save room. You said something like, it's like the save screen in the PlayStation where just your calm, your safe space, right?
Yeah. You're back home. Everything's fine. It'd be like almost like if you're, for those that don't know, like in RE or Resident Evil, when you get into a room that has a typewriter, typically that's like your save area, and you sometimes use ink ribbons to use the typewriter to save your game. But sometimes you don't have those ribbons, so you can't save. It's kind of like scary. You're like, oh no, all this progress.
Yeah.
And when you're in that room, it is this calm, like, oh my God, you're safe. All of your friends are here. It was just a nightmare. Don't worry. And then you just go to the next room and it's silence. You're like, that calm music is gone. So what Rui and I were talking about before last time we were hanging out was you have that same calm level music from PlayStation 4 and 5 and even 3, I think, had music in the background.
Yeah.
And I think that they did that subconsciously. This is just some, not conspiracy theory, just like maybe an observation, because when you're there, that's your calm area where you're like happy to be there. So people are like, you know what? I like PlayStation because that's, I just like it better, but they don't know why they like it better. And one of the reasons is that music on the menu, just your home, man. This is your home. They even had a product called PlayStation Home.
Mm-hmm.
This could be all subliminal,
It could be. And then that feeling you get when you hear that music 5 years later.
Yeah.
You still feel something, right?
You still do.
But yeah, you're in that save room and it's quiet. And all of a sudden you come out of that save room and it's like, like zombies blasting you. And it's pretty crazy, man. I have to say.
That does look like a cool gun. Yeah, no problem. Yeah. That
thing's awesome.
Did you use it?
I used it. Yeah, I used it to clean my keyboard. This is amazing. And it's got like some good power, man.
Yeah.
The horsepower in this little baby here.
Like this is a trend with Amazon products that come out. Like people never see them, right? This is what happened with massage guns. Like they weren't anywhere.
Yeah.
And then boom, like a year later, everyone had one. They're now like $50, and that was like the price of the $200 ones like a year ago.
Yeah.
And it's the same with these little tiny blowers that look like guns that you kind of dust and clean out your car with and whatnot. Or you could even do like when you're driving, you could turn it on, roll down your windows and blast your dash. Everything flows out.
Yeah.
Maybe you get some like sniffles or whatever, but I want them to come out with a blow suck where it blows and sucks at the same time. It's like a vacuum, but it's also like a leaf blower.
I mean, there's potential, right? You can have another nozzle here.
Yeah.
And kind of a bag hanging down here.
Yeah.
So it's like Yeah, sucking and blowing at the same time. Yeah, for sure, man.
That's the best way to do it. And Milwaukee, that's their standard for like hyper allergenic level of new builds, where they have all of their tools now hooked up to these vacuums. So when they're cutting through concrete or whatever, it just, it cuts and all those chunks are coming out, it's sucking them all away. And you don't get that bad air quality level of wear a mask and sneeze for weeks.
Yeah.
Don't make a mess and then clean it up later.
Right.
I think the mentality should be the mess cleans up itself.
Oh, shoot. Sorry, man.
That's okay. That sounds like an internal vac,
This thing is nice, man.
How much was that? Oh, well, I should tell you. It's like, I think it's like $20. It's crazy.
I had a bunch of crumbs inside of my keyboard. I didn't want to bang on it from the back, so this did the trick.
Yeah. Here's a real question. What did you do with the crumbs after they landed on the floor?
I put it in my cereal. I mean,
oh yeah.
I mean, they didn't land on the floor, right? I just put them right into my bowl. Come on, man.
Yes. Okay, yeah. No milk, or was it pre-milk?
Pre-milk? No, I usually use Coca-Cola in my cereal. I don't.
Yes. It's like Vigorous Steve had this great video of like there's like 4 or 5 different Coca-Cola products.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently 2 of them are super good for building testosterone and 2 of them aren't.
Really?
It's a fascinating video. I'm like, I love this. He's one of the very few people that, if you message him on social, he'll respond.
Nice.
Very nice guy in the biohacking community. But so I would say for Resident Evil 3 and 2, they didn't butcher it. It's great. Resident Evil 4, they did a soft remaster, meaning that they took the GameCube one and they bumped it to 4K 60 FPS on 360 Xbox One. It was beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
It still looked like, like an old game that's like, when they don't increase the quality of the texture pack for the surrounding environment, but they just up it to 4K. It kind of looks like super old game, great quality. But that was good.
I loved it. I thought it was a great game and a good remake.
Yeah. And then the whole thing is like, I don't know how these guys can market these consoles as 8K.
Mm-hmm.
Like as soon as they push a ray tracing patch, the games are so slow. Like they just wanted to say that
almost unplayable, right?
Yeah, they patched Elden Ring to have ray tracing. And as soon as I flip it on, the frame rate is like 20, right?
Yeah.
Like I can't play this.
Mm-hmm.
If you can't do ray tracing, how could you ever do ray tracing 8K at 60 at 120? Like we're obviously not there yet.
Right.
But they probably got to say just so they don't get shafted by the competitor, right?
Yeah, for sure. I think PC is good. PC is the way to go for gaming if you want ray tracing.
Yeah,
that top tier graphics.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. Do you have a eGPU?
No, I don't think so.
So you heard of these things?
Vaguely. What is an eGPU?
So imagine just like an enclosure for a GPU, and then it's got like a Thunderbolt 5 cable or 4 to go to your. Let's say you go into Walmart, you buy a laptop for like $400, and then you spend $5,000 on, an RTX, 4090 or 59, whatever the highest one, and you just go, Thunderbolt right to the. Granted, you need a laptop that has Thunderbolt or whatever, so probably the 400 Walmart one wouldn't. But it's a way of saying, hey, just give me some regular laptop.
Yeah.
And then whenever I want to game on it, I'm going to give it an external graphics card straight to the straight to the motherboard heart, and then use that for my games.
Nice. That's actually, man, things are changing so fast, eh?
Yeah. I think they realize like what people are missing with that. They're like, hey, I want a sleek little laptop to travel with touchscreen, but when I get home, I want to be able to play whatever it is on 8K, right? But yeah, the graphics thing is It's definitely getting crazier and crazier. You see Unreal Engine, and I think Resident Evil, they don't do Unreal Engine, which I kind of like, because I'm not sure if you see this in the corner here, but it says RE Engine, and they keep on upgrading it. And the engine is great. If you go with Unreal, you have to, like, every time you like make a sale or whatever, you have to pay them like 10% or something, right? Like, they're rolling in the dough. So Unreal Engine 5.2 released like a couple days ago. It's all on YouTube. You seen this?
No.
So, like, you know how they do like mocap with all the little ping pongs on your face to make expressions? They're now using AI. Use your phone, and you can actually put yourself directly into Unreal, and it's so good.
That's nice.
Apparently that took weeks before in mocap, studios.
Yeah.
And they now have these procedurally generated assemblies that use AI to build out huge 10 kilometer by 10 kilometer worlds. So AI in general, like ChatGPT and all that stuff, is like affecting gaming, meaning that, okay, you don't have to like make the land anymore. I just hope that it doesn't make things so generic that it has this, oh, I know this is an Unreal game, because they all look kind of shiny in that way.
Right. I guess it depends on your cues or whatever you give to it. Right?
Very true.
Yeah. Man. But going back to Resident Evil, man, I tell you something. Graphics good game, but you know what is very important? Atmosphere and where you're sitting or where you're playing that game, right?
Yeah.
Sitting here playing game, lights on, windows open. Okay, it's fun.
Yeah.
But sitting somewhere where you've got the right lighting, the right setting, the right television size, just the right mood, that completely changes the game. I mean, you can have a seemingly boring game and just make it fun with your setting, right?
That's true. Like, how many people you think? Probably not that many. Like, think about it from that. They probably think, hey, I just need a biggest TV, biggest sound system, all that stuff. But you could really save yourself a lot of time and energy. Like, one thing I did is, first I tried the behind the TV lighting, which a lot of people still do. Like, I was doing it essentially before I knew anyone that was. And there's no products at the time like that you plug in. And I had this app called Huey, which would I had to use a sticker, and I stuck a phone to record the screen, which would communicate with the lights to change the lights behind. And after weeks, I was like, well, it's really taking me out of the experience. So what I did was I took it down, patched the paint, because it removed some when I peeled it off. And I painted the back wall behind the TV black, so you couldn't really tell where there was a TV and not.
Right.
When I went to Sherwin-Williams paint, he's like, yeah, it doesn't go any blacker than that. That is like our highest, like, the machine is smoking, like a level of like, it's everything we have, right? I wanted it almost like light could not escape.
Right.
And it works well. Like, if you paint the wall behind your TV black, or if you just have a projector. The other thing that works is, I don't think a lot of people do this, but you can lie directly on floor or a bed and get a cheap projector and point it up on your ceiling. People's ceilings are typically white. Yes, you're going to get some bumps, but it's really good for your posture if you think about it.
Yeah.
You're really not hunched over. And
no, that does play a huge part. Feeling, having that atmosphere feeling.
Have you like upgraded your atmosphere at all lately, or have you done anything?
I have not, man.
No.
Unfortunately, I don't spend a lot of time in front of the television. I wish I could. Wish I had the time, but I don't. But I do want to upgrade my my sound system, my television. I need something a little bit more, a little bit bigger.
Little oomphy.
Yeah, man. Yeah, for sure, man. And definitely I need wireless speakers. That's
key,
that's
right?
what I need next.
Yeah, so you probably want to look into something that, like, I mean, Sonos is incredible. It's wireless.
But cost, right?
Oh, you're going to like run $500 per speaker.
That's way too much, man.
Yep.
It may be cheaper to break the wall and then just put drywall back up.
Exactly. Yeah. It'd be cheaper to, exactly. Or just live with the cords everywhere.
Yeah.
The receiver alone that I wanted at the time this is going back like 3 years, to get the best sound possible for 4K disc and all that was 13.2 Denon. And I think it was like $7,000 for the receiver.
Ouch, man.
Yeah, it was it was a little bit more expensive than the TV. And I didn't pull the trigger, because can you imagine just like getting that, and then let's say a month goes by and they have a better version? How much would that hurt?
Oh, that's that happens with everything you buy, right?
Everything. Yeah. So I don't know. Plus, I didn't want to have my wife kill me in my sleep, because that's a lot of money to spend on something that's definitely not needed. Until the kids are older, right? Because just gonna wake them up at night. They don't stay up. We don't let them watch anything like that. So, but we have been enjoying the 7.2. I guess it is 9.2. No, it is still 7.2. Dolby Atmos, Dolby Vision with Mandalorian on Disney Plus. You watch that?
I have not.
It is so good. Ugh, just amazing. The one-liners from Pedro. He's so cool.
Yeah, no, I haven't watched any Star Wars stuff.
Yeah.
I'm Star Wars noob.
You're a Star Trek vet.
Yes. Yeah.
Not
we don't cross contaminate.
Yeah. They're very they don't play well. Like they're like two beta fishes in the same bowl. Exactly. One beta fish swims like this.
Yeah.
The Spock we come in peace.
Yep. We come in peace.
We come in pieces. So like, I don't know. Like, what do you think what do you think they'll do next?
Oh man. Honestly, in terms of gaming.
Yeah, in terms of like RE's like next move.
RE's next move. I see a Netflix special with the guy from Witcher as Leon.
Ooh, very nice.
And who's gonna be Claire? Oh, Claire. Should she be in it? Yeah, she should. Who's gonna play Claire?
Angelina Jolie? I don't know.
No, man, come on.
I don't know.
I know.
I just think of Tomb Raider.
I mean, she was good in Tomb Raider, but
yeah.
Who would play Claire? I have no idea. Somebody.
Right.
Maybe they can just generate some AI for him. I don't know. AI models.
Nate told me that they're releasing the how they came out with expansion packs for our download DLC.
For what?
Thank you. For RE4 remaster, and it's going to be out in a couple of weeks. And there's some speculation, and I'm sure if I go on YouTube today, it'll be like confirmed, because depending on when this episode comes out, it's probably already announced, is like Ada's chronicles were cut from the game, and they haven't really announced whether they would put those back in. And I'm hoping that they do, because she's cool. She kicks people. She wears a dress. She's very confident, kind of like Bond, a girl Bond.
A girl Bond.
Yeah, a Gond. A Gone with the Wind.
Gone with the Wind. Have you seen the movies? Any Resident Evil movies or no?
Yes, there was. I actually have one, like on Blu-ray or whatever. It's really good.
The first couple are amazing.
Yeah, you watched them all?
I haven't watched all of them, no, because I don't know how many there are. Probably like 12 by now. But
are you talking about the live action or the CGI?
Yeah, live action.
Yeah, I'm talking about the CGI. Have you seen those?
I've never seen any of them, no.
Dude, they're pretty good. Yeah, they're kind of more in line with the game than, the Hollywoodization of RE.
Nice. Well, that's what I want to see. I may download them or borrow them or watch them on Netflix. I actually got an IP TV box recently. Have you seen one? Have you seen those?
Yeah, like what do you get? Like I want to say Cody, but Cody.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. Are you using what is the service that you have to use these days to get like everything? I remember it was like Vader.
Yeah, like one of those Real to Brit or something.
Yeah. So it was a different name for like Underground,
Yeah, they keep coming out with new services, but yeah, it has everything, man. I have to check out and see if they have Resident Evil on it. But yeah, man, I'm like getting way into it again.
Nice. Cool. So that was like last time we were hanging out for the launch of on the Friday when RE4 remastered launched, and you were like, you never played it back in the day, like unremastered, and now you're like, I'm all in. Like, let's go through it, right?
For sure.
We should do you know what we talked about for doing a pod that's as we're playing, like a live stream pod that we're playing in the background. That'd be kind of a cool thing to.
It would be awesome. Actually, we should do that next podcast, and we should pick a Resident Evil game and go through it. I'll put on my gear. So I do have Resident Evil outfit, hat, underwear, socks.
Nice.
I mean, I don't know about all that. I do have a hat.
You just have the underwear. So like you show up for the thing, you're like, Buck, just underwear. It's like, hey man, you said you wear a costume. It's like, I am. You pan the camera down. It's like, all right.
And it's like, it's Claire's underwear.
No, can you imagine? Ada has my underwear. Yeah, dude. I'm really hoping that the next bout of RE is like, because right now they're playing it safe, right? They're like, all right, so the remasters are crushing. They're probably going to continue to remaster till they run out of that.
Mm-hmm.
And then they'll probably head up, RE10 or whatever, 9 and then at that point, they probably, if you think about the hype that they've had and that they released the over the shoulder for the Village, they probably want to stick with the last thing I want to see, dude, is the next RE is first person.
Yeah.
Like, I'd be like, okay, all right. I waited. I spent like my life, scenario.
Yeah.
And then, but I don't know. Like, I don't think they'll do that. I mean, for people that love the first person, yeah, honestly, it's good. It's just not what I remember. And honestly, the over the shoulder is not what you remember. Right?
That's right.
You remember top down, isometric, puzzle.
Yep.
The ammo management, right? There's not enough ammo. There's not enough guns. There's not enough that stuff. So that was the survival part. Right.
And then if you use your save ribbons, out of turn, you're pretty much screwed, right?
You can't save.
You can't save, right? You need to have that save ribbon. So you have to think. You have to be wise and think ahead. It's a survival game, right?
Right. And then you think that there's just abundance of ammo now. They're like, oh, I don't have to manage ammo. I'll just
Well, you still do in Resident Evil 4. You had to somewhat manage ammo, but there's a huge amount.
Yeah, they almost toned it back for the survival, and they kind of upped the horror and they upped the action for sure.
Yes, the horror and action, yes, they did.
Yeah,
it was intense.
The one dude that is new that the creator put into this. So there's a new character, right? I told you is that guy that has the cow's head as a mask.
I remember seeing him. Yeah.
So it's like a big, burly, strong. Like, man, what's that guy bench? And then he's got like a hammer, flat, and then the other end is like a pick.
Yeah,
it's like straight out of Elden Ring or something. And then
insane.
Cow head mask, and he's just like, he doesn't go down. Like, man, this guy is.
This guy's holy cow, creepy dude. Yeah. Holy cow.
Yeah, it's like move.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that's great for sure. We're going to set up a let's play for next.
Let's play. Yeah,
next time, the Let's Play podcast.
Yeah, and the other thing I like is you like heal yourself with plants. And in RE1 and all the way up to, I think, 5, or like when you combine 2 different plants together, right? It goes on a piece of paper in the middle of the paper in a mound, right? So you have some green in the pile that's been, I guess, cut up, and then some purple in the pile that's been cut up. And it's on this piece of paper, and there's a fold in the middle of the paper.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm like, how's Leon using that for healing? You know what I'm like? I'm like, what does he do? Because for me, I'm like, I'm just completely oblivious, right? Like Born Yesterday just came out. I'm like, oh, he probably just eats it.
Right.
It doesn't make sense, right?
Yeah,
Like
that doesn't make sense.
Like I there were probably some videos online like what
He's
did he
injecting
actually
it.
do? Yeah, straight to the dome, you know, like right in the temple,
dome.
you know, right in the chrome dome. Yeah, so we'll do that, and yeah, so your favorite RE1,
One,
and
two,
you
three.
recommend for people to get the remaster of 4 if they can.
Yeah, for sure. I would honestly start this whole Resident Evil if you haven't played it. I would start with Code Veronica or Resident Evil 3 Nemesis.
Yeah,
The remake one that you have there.
the remake. Yeah,
those I'd start with because 1 and 2 the controls were a bit wonky. It's a lot of getting used to.
Yeah, the tank controls.
Yeah, the tank controls. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd start with that. And 4 is good.
Yeah.
But 5, that's the one I hated the most.
Don't start with 5.
Yeah, don't start.
If you start with 4, you can go to 5, but don't start with 5.
Yeah.
Rui's he had a bad brush with 5. It's just because it's such a departure from 1 or Code Veronica, right?
And because I missed 4, I jumped right into 5, and I was like, what's going on?
Yeah, what's and one of the reasons why they put the camera so close to the dude, and then when you actually go to like hold the gun, it's even closer, like right at the back of the head.
Yeah, why?
They want you to be so close to the about to get attacked, and because it's so close, you cannot tell in the periphery.
Right.
If someone's about to ask you whatever, it is this ultimate subliminal horror element that I think it's a little less close in the RE4 remake.
Yeah.
But on RE4, like normal, you're like right up there. You're like, you see all the nose hairs of the villager, and like, you're like, oh, I'm pretty. And you get that red dot, so you know exactly where you're going to hit.
Yeah.
Granted, the red dot in the remaster, you got to get like a gun for that. You don't start off with it.
Right.
But
I may give 5 another chance. I want to give it another chance, man. I want to like
good. Yeah. There's a creepy guy in there too, just like that guy in the castle in 5, and he's crazy. He's like Shaun White, the snowboarding Olympic skateboarder. Is just crazy.
Yeah. Do you remember the first time you played The Last of Us? Do you remember how you felt the first time you played that game?
Yep.
Do you remember the disappointment of playing part 2? Because I do.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what's messed up? Because Megan and I are watching the show with Pedro.
Yeah.
Like Pedro's got to be on like People's Magazine Sexiest Man of the Year or something. Like he's in Mandalorian, he's in Last of Us, he's everywhere, right? Is Megan's like, oh, when he's not in it, when Joel's not in it, when Pedro's not in it, it's very boring.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh, man, it's the same with the game. Number 2, when it was just the girls.
Yeah.
And it was almost like an element of like, I kind of don't care anymore. Right.
Right.
Last of Us was like kind of a one and done, but the fact that, Joel wasn't in the second one as much, it was more themed around the girls. I'm like, I don't know. I don't really care. Like I really cared about Joel. Right.
Right. And the daughter and the whole situation I cared about.
Yeah.
But man, first time I played that kind of blew my mind. I didn't think I could enjoy another game.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Getting older, it's hard to enjoy video games. But not that one. That definitely got me
back in.
Got me back in.
That was at the time when games were declining almost. And then we're like, what is this? We're kind of like almost, the games were in a rut.
Yeah.
And I bought that game on PS3, 4, and 5.
Nice.
So each time it was remastered a little bit more. And
I have it on 3 and 4. But yeah, that's what they do. But
dude, yeah.
Yeah, that sucked me back in, man. Good game. And the online component of it was really good too. I enjoyed it.
The clickers, the fact that they're just, they can't see, but they can hear.
And you're like skulking around. It's not crazy. Again, maybe it's just the kind of games I like. Right?
And they're like making this weird like clicking noise, and it was very like Resident Evil, where this post-apocalyptic zombie-ridden world where you can't breathe the stuff, and the lighting. And they also talked about what people don't talk about a lot with that is the characters.
Mm-hmm.
It really brought you in. Like, you ever watch a movie where you don't even care about what's going on in the movie, but those characters, you're sucked into their, how they think things are going along, and you just really care about them. It had such a story-driven, character-driven thing. And apparently the new Final Fantasy, I think it's like 17, 16, whatever, it's not out yet. It's very heavily on the character story. Yeah.
I got to check it out.
All right. Well, anyhow, wrap it up. Rui, thanks so much for taking the time today. And every week we'll be back for some of that iconic, trendy coding, chat GPT, AI, sucking your brain out, putting it into a zombie that's now in a VR simulation of your previous life, the one before the current one, obviously. And, that whole trendy, amazing thing that's happening with coding, gaming, VR, all of that stuff, health, meta, not, his meta, but meta,
some kind of meta,
not Mark's meta, but, hopefully we meet a new meta. And we'll see you next time. Thanks, everyone.
Goodbye, everybody.